Welcome back, I'm Tori. I'm not going to do an intro for this section, because I just want to jump right into this run. If you haven't seen the Dark Souls 1 version of this run, I highly recommend you go and watch it, as you'll know what to expect from this one. While you watch me struggle and learn how to spawn items into Dark Souls 2, let me explain a few things. 1, the Chaos Blade got some huge buffs in this run from the last one. First off, it's not only the best katana in this game, it has the highest scaling too. Along with that, the high stat requirements is actually a benefit to us. The reason being that the higher the dex, the better the scaling, granting us better damage. However, there is some debuffs we got from Dark Souls 1 to 2. First, and this is the big one, the health loss was increased from 20 HP per swing to 50 per swing, which is over double the health loss. Another quirk is, like in Dark Souls 1, when we hit an enemy in a death animation, it would still hurt us, similar to its gimmick in Dark Souls 2, where hitting furniture and breaking it also causes us to lose health. Seems like there's a lot in store for this run, but now we have the Chaos Blade, so you'll have to wait and see what happens. But before that, a word from today's sponsor, me. Did you know I made a Discord? Well, now you do. We have riveting chats, great interaction, channels for your every need. Come join Torytown today. Dumb bit. After giving myself enough souls to meet the requirements and doing the usual collection spree around Majula, I instantly head into the Undead the Forest of Fallen Giants. Even with the weapon, I run through the area killing no one. In the bonfire room, we can get a taste of the health loss, but while it is worse, I do have some good plans to negate it. I didn't bother getting the shortcut back to the last giant, cause so far the weapon is super good and I'm not afraid of dying. Let's talk damage. Almost 90 right off the bat, which is about where we were at the end of the Dark Souls 1 with a fully upgraded weapon. My secret weapon to negate the damage, well, was obviously life gems, but with how I'm playing, it's not helping. Oh dear, that wasn't part of the plan. I didn't bother getting the shortcut back to the last giant, cause so far the weapon is super good and I'm not afraid of dying. That happened not even a minute ago. The joke doesn't work, Editor Tory. Whatever. Let's just try this again and not die. And god damn it! What is with me? Okay, fine. Third time's the charm. No, fourth. All right, fifth. Sick. You know what? No. Okay, I'm done with this run. I'm done. Coming in at the end, like always, to rant and ramble. No, I'm joking. Obviously, the run isn't ending here, but I did rage quit and didn't pick this run up for like 2 weeks. I was so scared of how hard this was going to be, but I had no idea what was going to be in stock. Bad news, I did lose footage of me killing the last giant, but Splunker was in call with me so they can vouch. Either way, with the giant 6 feet under, we can get to the hags and move back to Majula for the 2 saviors of this run, life gems and bright bugs. Sweet, sweet bright bugs. Hyde's Tower of Flame, aka the Carnival Dunk Pit, where you try and throw the ball at the target but miss multiple times and then just go up and press the target to dunk him in. And then I use the souls to buy more healing crack. Outside the arena, we can take on the Hyde Knight and Old Knight to get to the chest nearby, which contains another savior of this run, the Ring of Binding, which caps health loss to 25% instead of 50%. After getting the ring, we can burn a bonfire and get bonus souls for more life gems. Heading back to the high wall, Forest of Fallen Giants, we can meet Kale and then have a nice chat and then walk away after meeting a new friend and a funny new hat that gives us +2 dex and +1 endurance. Since we have the soldier's key, we head up and fight the pursuer, and since ballista bolts are just giant chaos blades, we easily take him down for access to Macduff and the Ring of Blades. Using the souls from the pursuer, we can pick up the cat ring from the talking cat. Making our way through the pregnant goblin room and into the shaded woods, we can buy ourselves some gold pine resin from the head of Ungaro. Now, if you're not familiar with Dark Souls 2 at all, you'll be wondering why I'm buying pine buffs in the other Souls games. Special weapons can't be buffed or infused, and that's true for those games. But you see, Dark Souls 2 is peak gaming, so we can make our boss weapon even stronger. In the ruins up ahead, we can take on Najka instantly, which is a super long fight, only dealing 70 damage, but taking it slow and punishing the tail slams, we take her down first try. Afterwards, we can pick up the petrified dragon bone in the chest, which is weird that I didn't get that beforehand. Past me, what the f*** are you thinking? Either way, going back to Majula and Enkale's house, he ever so nicely gave us the key for, we find a soul vessel which we won't need, and an Estus shard and human effigy. Back in the doors of Pharos begins my descent into madness, by trying to kill this crystal lizard. Unlike Dark Souls 1, crystal lizards don't die from fall, so it's an issue when you're surrounded by edges and a weapon that misses a bunch. I even tried using the mace and bow just to kill the damn thing, but it won't die. It took me 25 minutes to kill one lizard, and all it was for a raw stone. Now, why would I get a raw stone? Well, while we have good stats for scaling weapons, it's still barely upgraded, and we can't get a +5 for a while. So the raw infusement will suffice for now, and because Dark Souls 2 is peak gaming, we can still buff our weapon with resin while it's raw. Back in Brightstone Cove, we can run straight to the Magus and Congregation and give them a good new god to believe in. Afterwards, in the second half of the cove, I once again struggle to kill another crystal lizard. Yes, I used the mace, shut up. For a petrified dragon bone and another one close by, getting the Chaos Blade to a +2. In the second main part of the Doors of Pharos, there's a trap chest containing another petrified dragon bone. Going back into hides and into the building past the Dragon Rider, we can find a sublime bone dust by the Saiyan Knight. Further on, we can find the wharf, and running through it, we can ring the bell to beckon the ship. Inside, we can find the Flexile Sentry, and they aren't too bad. Mostly only one lizard attacks at once, so all we need to do is bait out one lizard to attack and move behind him. However, I got clipped while backing away and died, but attempt 2 went much better. If you're at all familiar with Dark Souls 2 Soul Level 1 runs, you'll know that Dark Souls 2 has stat boosting gear, Kale's Helm being one of them. Well, I've neglected to mention it till now, but ADP was a main worry in this run, so I wanted to get the Peasant set, which each piece gives +2 ADP at the loss of -1 intelligence. So, it was time to farm. Best bonfire to farm at is Soldier's Rest, and then run up to the right where the boulders are and kill them and repeat. I ended up killing so many that they stopped respawning, so I joined the Covenant Champions and began to slaughter some more. About half an hour later, I took a break and used a fragrant merchant yore I got from the wharf in the things betwixt to make it over to the ogres and kill them for the ladle, which gives us +1 vitality, endurance, and +2 ADP at the loss of 1 dex. After grabbing the soup spoon, I was back to killing peasants for their clothes, and after about 20 more minutes, we have everything we needed. After getting the peasant set, I was prepared to start taking on the lords. First up was the Lost Sinner. I usually do the Sinner last, but I think it's fitting to do her first as she gives us the soul for the Chaos Blade on Near Game Plus. With our current upgrades and buffs, we're sitting at 275 damage with an R2 and 212 with an R1. I'm still pretty bad at the Sinner, so she ends my first few attempts, but I get the hang of it and take her down. Along the way, I've been collecting petrified somethings, and by save stating, we can manipulate the game and keep stating until we get the dragon bones needed. Back in Majula, using the cat room from earlier, I go ahead and jump down the hole. Near where you fight the exploding hollows, there's a path that leads to a Saiyan Knight and another bone dust. In the gutter, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to the gulch. Before taking on the Rotten, I headed back to the Shaded Woods and sent Tark up to heaven for the second dragon ring. We can grab the hidden bonfire for faster runbacks, but it's just the Rotten, so no big deal. Ha! You thought I was going to do the joke again. I'm actually good at the game right now. Afterwards, we can spend a bit of time save stating the crow drops from our dragon bones. Back in Majula, I spend some time to kill a grifter, and once that's done, I head into the cops, and while there, I grab some bonfires, another undead bone dust, and get the key to unlock Kraten's Goon Cave. Skeleton Lords is just a bunch of bones, take out one of the lords and kill the scalies that spawn and repeat for the other 2 lords. In Eastern Peak, we can jump across the poison and pull the lever to get to the second bonfire. Up in the main tower, we can fight Jabba the Hutt. The damage has gotten much better since the start. Even without the pine resin, it reaches close to 500 per swing. In the last tower, I struggle to light the windmill, but once it's lit, I make a straight shot to the secret wall and grab the bonfire above Mytha. Mytha gives plenty of attack opportunities, and with her high damage, I wasn't worried. I even did enough damage to cut her tail off. Most attacks can be dodged by rolling away from her or towards her when she does a lunge. Heading up an elevator, we can get to the Iron Keep and deal with scum from Dennis and get into the main building and take on the Alonne Knights 1 or 2 at a time. We can pull the lever for the bridge in the large box with only one arrow in my back, and kill the two on the bridge. Most times I never turn the fire off, but this time I needed to as there's a dragon bone in the main room. Opposite of the boss room we can find another bone at the end of the broken staircase. If you saw my spear backs up only run, you know I have some beef with the smelter, but this time I have DPS. We have to watch our health during this fight though, as the life gems have been keeping my health up from the Chaos Blade loss, but now we have constant health drain from the fire aura, so we have to double up at some points. Other than watching our health, we need to dodge through the swords and strafe and attack his legs. A couple minutes later he goes down. Heading back into the boss room we can fight the pursuer again, and all it comes down to is a strafe fest. After that he gives us the Ring of Blades +1. Once again we take everyone on 1 or 2 at a time. Killing the ironclad in the hallway, we can make it up to the bullfire and turn the heat down. However, there's a problem. The Iron King gets a tad upset when his hot tub went cold, so he comes and gives us a righteous fisting. What? Why would I? Never mind. Like always, bait out the laser and fist slam and punish. Repeat this and the old Iron King goes down in no time at all. After some more save-stating crow shenanigans, we can get our Chaos Blade to a +4, and we can test out the new damage on the Duke's dear Freya. We make our way back to Brightstone Cove Tesseldora and make the run through the blue-collar workers, spiders, and then drop down the McDonald's playpen into the fog. Main strat for Freya is to have a torch in one hand and your Chaos Blade in the other. Get a couple hits in and then switch to the other head, this way avoiding its attacks. With this strategy, all you need to do is worry about the legs, and god damn it! A few tries later, the head swap strat works by avoiding the legs and making sure to reapply life gems and gold pine resin when needed. Kill the Duke because you can, and have a totally normal reaction when Alia shows up. Head back into the Shaded Woods, this time taking the left path to the Shrine of Winter. With our 4 Lord Souls, the door opens and we can continue on the path and through the tunnel, which makes the other side rain. On the left side of the gate, we can kill this crossbow knight to activate the goddamn Forlorn! By making the crossbow man put away half of his name, you can get the man over towards the gate and kill him for the second giant. Once inside, we can kill a few knights in the way and then grab the bonfire. Right outside the bonfire, we can blitz the stone knight to open the door and then pick up the first DLC key. Once back outside, just continue up the stairs and have a small chat with Chandra and then blitz down the Dragon Riders because it's the easiest boss. Blitz down the Dragon Riders because it's the easiest boss. The joke doesn't work. It's too early. The joke does not work. Whatever. They died next try anyway. Accessing the Mirror Knight is quite easy. Just go up the ladder, kill the ghost, bait out the mannequins over to the giant, afterwards die or homeward bone. Head up the elevator and grab the key from there, just sprint down to the hallway and into the fog. However, I wanted to make a quick detour back to the gulch and grab one more dragon bone. I then went to the Shaded Woods once more to bonfire stack to respawn the dragon bone inside the chest above the bonfire. In Dragonlance Castle, the hall with the dual-headed horse has a mimic in it that contains another dragon bone. We currently have 4, and all we need for a max weapon is a +5, and the last dragon bone we can grab right now is in the cell next to Strayed, and the key is past the Gargs. So we head back to the Bastille and we clear our way towards the Ruined Sentinels, and with our high damage plus lightning resin, we can easily take the first one down and almost kill the second one before the third one intervenes. Once on the floor, it's only a few seconds before the second and third one falls. Another trip to the Talking Heads, we can get access to the Belfry and ring the Bell of Awakening. The Gargs aren't too hard, doing little damage even at low health, and with life gems, you can tank a few hits without worry. You can't really take one Garg on at a time, you really just have to hit one that's available whenever you can. However, only 3 can be out at once, so you can spread out your damage fairly easily. After a lengthy back and forth, we can win and, where's the key? Oh, god damn it, I can't read. Once we get the key and head back to Strayed and unlock the cell next to him for the last dragon bone to get a +5. With the Chaos Blade maxed out, we can take on the Looking Glass Knight. I prefer to stand in front of his right arm, not to worry about hitting his shield. For the lightning attack, standing behind him or running away works best. His summons are weak, only needing 3 to 4 hits to kill. A few more slashes and he goes down. Shrine of Amana was next, and it was easy. That's not supposed to happen. The first third has simple enemy placements and is relatively easy with a somewhat decent weapon. The second half is by far the hardest, but I'll teach you how to get through it no problem. From the bonfire, take the mage directly in front of you out, then the one on the right. Aggro the old knight back to the rocks and take him down. Next, I jump on top of this thingy and then try and plunge the next mage. If you miss like I do, just hit her and run straight for the next mage. You'll have one of the Mark Zuckerberg clones following you, so just turn around and deal with him before dealing with the next mage. At this point, you're almost halfway done. Down the hall is another mage you can take out, and to the left is another Zuckerberg clone, and one more on the other side of the wall. Right around this corner is 3 mages, and we can take the first one out and then run and strafe the magic to get close to the second one. Stick to the house, and the third one can't hit you. Outside the house is an Archdrake, and he dies in 2 hits for me. I then rush to the next Archdrake and mage, and then the next 2 after. With the hardest part of the shrine being dealt with, all that's left is a quick sprint to the left and you'll be at the Demon of Song. Lightning damage plus frog and water equals next area. In the crypt, Ollie gives us another scare and tells us to go kill Vendrick or something like that. The crypt has nothing of interest for us, so just kill the Saiyan Knight and keep running towards the bonfire. From there, play a bit of Minesweeper and run down the tracks and then kill the 3 hollows that summon the witches. Velstadt is a tough fight. He does enough damage to 2-shot us, and along with his high defenses, that get even higher in Phase 2, it makes the fight pretty stressful. First attempt I died by just standing there, I guess. Attempt 2 I got hit by a totally normal hitbox, and attempt 3 goes down much better. We ignore Vendrick for now and make our way to Aldia's Keep. There's not much to note here. We deal with Lugatil's brother, the best swordsman in Mira, mock a basilisk, and then make it to the second building. We get to the second bonfire and bait out trolls 1 and 2 right after. Guardian Dragon gave us way too much trouble last Dark Souls 2 run, taking us like 7 minutes, but this time with a fast weapon and lightning damage, all we need to do is alternate feet and wait for him to land and he goes down. Dragon area is just as simple. Grab the feather and zip across the line, and then bridge the gap. Tell Smaldia to shut the fuck up, and then test your might against the 3 Drake Keepers. Lastly, the Drake Warrior is the last test, and once he falls, you can talk to the Ancient Dragon and get the Ashen Mist Heart. With the Ashen Mist Heart, this starts the endgame boss rush, and we can start it with the Giant Lord. I've fought him more than enough times when soul farming that I can tell what he's doing just by looking at his feet, so he falls first try. Next, I head into the other 2 memories and grab the other 2 giant souls to prepare for Vendrick. Lastly, we just need to kill the 2 giants in the gulch we passed by earlier for the 4th soul. Now, I could get the 5th soul from the Ancient Dragon, but no, I don't want to do it. In fact, I'm not going to fight him this run. However, I do kill Blood and Zallen later in this run, so that better make up for it. I swear. With 4 out of the 5 souls, we're ready to take on Vendrick, and he's super simple. All you need to do is stick to his left leg and strike with him. The damage isn't great, yeah, but it's a super simple fight, and you can just kind of turn your brain off and, oh yeah, probably should pay attention. Well, first death to the Chaos Blade itself goes to Vendrick. Who would have guessed? 3 minutes later, Vendrick goes down. With Vendrick down, we can take on the final 3 back-to-back bosses. Opening the door to the throne, we can use our first Bright Bug for the throne duo. These bosses give me so much trouble that I wasn't taking any chances. Our damage skyrockets, but we are still taking high amounts of damage. My main strategy each time is to take down one, and then once the other one tries to revive the down one, you have enough time to finish them off. Not really much of a strategy, but that's what I have to do. Ashantra showed us she was a force to be reckoned with. The curse orbs will rapidly drain our health, and her laser would one-shot us, and that's even worse with the laser's super fair hitbox. But third attempt, she went down. Now, Aldia isn't going to be an issue, because it's Aldia, and who dies to Aldia? Now, Aldia isn't going to be an issue, because it's Aldia, and who dies to Aldia? The joke does not work if it happens less than a minute ago. Stop it. It doesn't make sense. Gonna hold off on Aldia for now and move on to the DLCs. First, I went back to the Cardinal Tower and jumped down to the Salamander Fun Zone for the Heavy Iron Key. Back to the Bullfire and to the Old Iron King's Hot Tub, we can enter the Crown of the Iron King DLC. We can pick up the Smelter Wedges and grab the Bonfire across the chain. Behind the throne, we can take a staircase down and grab the Dexterity Ring, which boosts our dex by 5. The first lever room we come across can be simplified by taking this one guy on the ledge out and then run across to the right and make it to the lever. Down a couple of ladders we can find the next bonfire, but I'm going to put Broom Tower on the back burner for a moment and go get Elium Loy set up. I painfully clear my way through many enemies on the way to the second bonfire, and a heavy emphasis on painfully. After getting tired of killing everything, I just run there and end up making it. Next obstacle is the lever that opens the large door to the outer wall. One of the Elium Ice Knights and a Rampart Golem would tag team me, and it wasn't enjoyable. After another few attempts trying to kill them, I just run for it and again somehow make it. Once outside, we can make a run for the Priestess Eye to see Ava and then grab the third bonfire for later. If you saw my DS2 video, you'll know how much I hate Ava and how much more I hate Lord Zallen. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, I still have a couple hours before then. Ava is a boss I know what to do on, but I still don't react accordingly. I know the tells and how to avoid them, but my body hasn't caught up to my brain yet, and having the fight end in one of just 2 hits is punishing. However, I know I can do it with the bright bugs I've gotten from earlier, and the pine resin we have for the damage. The biggest tip for all 3 tigers is dodge through the attacks, not away from it, because dodging away will likely get you hit by the lingering hitbox of the paws. Another tip is the most punishable attack is the homing ice masses, and you have time to run behind her legs and get free damage in, or heal if you need to. I was still a little below my average ADP I normally go for runs, so I was still trying to get used to the timings, but with enough practice and patience, Ava went down, and I say this not as a threat, but as a promise. Lord Zallen, you're going down. Inside the castle, the queen does an icebreaker question by telling me to go kill her husband, which is a big request for someone who just killed your pet. But the real reason I'm here right now is the chest behind us, which contains the vessel shield, which gives us +1 to our vigor, endurance, adaptability, faith, and intelligence, and boosts our strength and dexterity by 4. With all my dexterity boosting gear, I end up switching off my raw infusement as the dex I have now surpasses the old raw on scale damage from before. I remove Broom Tower from the back burner and go and gamble at the lever room, but end up getting a second try, letting us continue on way quicker than I was thinking. At the foyer bonfire, we need to activate the elevators by getting the Scorching Iron Rod in the secondary tower, but this requires us to go through the lever room. This lever room contains 2 hallways with a fire-spewing bull and spike walls. The first hallway only contains 1 Fume Sorceress, so we can rush her down and push her into the fire for extra damage. The second room has 3 Fume Sorceresses, 1 hidden behind the hallway itself and 2 at the end of the hallway. I took the first Fume Sorceress out, no issue, and then pushed the bull to the end of the hall. I then kind of dance around the hall, trying to pull one away, but I just go in, and luckily the second one keeps casting lightning while I cut the first one. From there, I just need to take the other one down, and we are pretty much in the clear. Sticking to the right, you can run around the chicken wing guy every time and pull a lever opening up the secondary tower. After Rachel invades, I panic and open the wrong door, leaving me having to run all the way back. But since the door and the lever was open, I just decided to make a run for it. And on my second try back, I made it to the second tower and the Scorching Iron Scepter. With the elevator powered, we can make it to the last lever room, and it's by far the hardest. I don't have a strategy for running through it, and if anyone does, please share, preferably in the Tory Town Discord. But without one, I'm forced to kill the knights, and they are tough. They go down in 2 or 3 hits, but so do I. With them sometimes being pairs, that doesn't help either. If I got down to the final floor, I still had to deal with the Chicken Man, and if I fumbled at him, which I did, I'd have to do the whole descent again. I once again gave up trying to patiently deal with all the enemies, and of course I make it through, because why not? Though, with this door open, we can get to the bottom floor and use the smelter wedges from earlier and disable Fume Knight's health regen. Once again, using pine resin and a bright bug to maximize damage, when Rain comes out of the ground, we have enough time to get a full stamina bar of attacks off. Like Ava, you want to be rolling into Rain and through his attacks because of the lingering hitboxes of his sword. Another thing to note here is that by using an Estus or any type of consumable by Rain will prompt him to react and do an overhead swing, which causes his sword to glow red, preventing him into going to phase 2. If you struggle with phase 2, this can be a good way to manipulate his AI to allow you to continue fighting him in phase 1. When he starts phase 2, you can get another couple free hits in. I quite honestly find phase 2 easier, as you only have to focus on one sword and his attacks end in more punishing ways. However, on my winning attempt, I got the AI manipulation to go, and when he raised his sword to start phase 2, he had so little health I was able to just finish him off right there. With Rain down, I went outside to pick up the tower key for access to Alonne and Smelter. Heading up the elevator and past the Prowlers, I can make it to Sir Alonne's armor and use the Ashen Mist Heart to access the memory of the Old Iron King. It's a pretty dicey run to Sir Alonne, but I've practiced the run enough to make it to the fog second try. I like to think that with each harder challenge run you do, the better you get at the game, and that's definitely true. I used to suck at Sir Alonne, and would barely fight him, but ever since doing so in the Spell Tool video, I've only fought him 3 times since, that being the Spell Tool run, Spear Backstab only, and this video, and each time I feel myself getting much more confident in the fight. I still wasn't playing it perfectly, far from it, but I was getting much better. The damage was amazing, over 700, and I was successfully dodging Sir Alonne's attacks more and more consistently. The attacks that would give me the most trouble was the jump attack, as the hitbox for that is whack, and his long distance slash, which is more of a reaction test. However, I knew I could get it done, it was just a matter of practice. So we begin the fight of the 2 best katana wielders in history. It was a constant dance. Sir Alonne would attack once or twice, and I'd dodge to the right and do my combo. And within just 10 minutes of starting, Sir Alonne fell to the ground. Now it was time for a fight I was not confident for. The Blueberry Smelter. The Iron Passage in Blue Smelter is the raid boss, quote-unquote, of this DLC. The Iron Passage itself isn't hard to run through if you know what you're doing and are able to time your rolls. The Blue Smelter, however, is the real struggle of this fight. Mainly, once again, the damage over time and just the increased damage. A lot of times during this fight, I would need to reapply my life gems due to the aura. I couldn't do it next to him or I'd burn. And if I did it far away from him, I would get punished. So my strategy would be to wait for the ground sword slam and then follow up with the explosion, as this would give me enough time to Estus or life gem while he recovers. But he barely did the follow-up, which would lead me to be burning alive or punished with risky heals. The other Smelter Demon, this wasn't an issue, but to the Blue Smelter, having more health, it wasn't a boss fight, it was a battle of endurance too. Most of my runs would end towards the end of each fight, which made it even more crushing. But regardless, there isn't much else to say, and after 30 minutes of attempts, I finally went down, I can cross the Iron King DLC off my list. Ivory King was next on the chopping block due to the fact I always like to save Shulva for last because it's peak Souls DLC, but due to my developed PTSD of Blood and Zallen, I wanted to be prepared as I could be when I got to that fight, so I went and gathered the rest of the Estus shards I've missed or didn't bother grabbing up till this point. With a full 12 Estus, I stepped back into the Ivory King DLC and headed to the torch door and lit all 4 scones. Once inside, I opened up the hidden wall and went around the corner to drop down for the key to the frozen outskirts. Now all we need to do is prepare for the Ivory King fight, so I went on a Saving Private Ryan's mission. Heading back to the 3rd bonfire we got earlier, we can go up a couple staircases and turns to end up at the 1st Ryan. To get to the 2nd Ryan, we went back to the Snowy Bridge and down the elevator. Down in the White Park Zone, we can die, apparently. On our 2nd trip down, I head towards the ladder and sprint to the bonfire. Nikolai tries to be a roadblock, but he hasn't heard the past 5,801 words in this script. We can pull the lever up top by the fake friend and run through the snow caves, barely avoiding the snow Java and then getting snow stomped again. Making it through again, getting up outside, and up a ladder to the final stretch to the second Ryan. And unfortunately, I don't make it, and I have to go all the way back a third time. Maybe 4. The last Ryan is a pretty easy one to save. Go the way back to the Priestess Eye, but go forward and follow the path downward this time. This will take you outside where you can unlock a shortcut to the Priestess Eye and the third bonfire. The 2 guards, a Rampart Golem and a Witch, do present a real threat, and one that cannot easily be ran past. I ended up killing the Golem, instead taking one of the major threats out, and all we had to do was get a bit of luck for the mage to let us open the door to the last Ryan. With all 4 Ryans in place, I was ready to jump into the old chaos and, oh god, I'm not doing this. First, we are aggroed 9 out of 10 times by the Charred Knights. Second, I'm squishy, and third, it takes so long to deal with the Lois Knights to even have a chance at the Iron King. So I made a decision. The boss is more interesting than the arena gank fest, so I'll use Cheat Engine to skip past the Charred Knight phase. Now, before you jump to your keyboards, I'll tell you what happens. All the knights are gone, mine and the Charred, so all it does is turn the Ivory King into a 1v1, meaning I wouldn't have the extra knight at the start of the fight like I usually would, so it balances itself out. I like to think I'm pretty good at the Ivory King fight. I got a lot of practice in the spell tool only one, and did it first try in the spear run, so like Sir Alonne, it was a dance of confidence. The damage was okay, even with the Pine Resonant Bright Bug, and unlike Sir Alonne, dodging attacks to the right, I kept on dodging to the left for Ivory King. And doing back and forth attacks for 20 minutes worth of attempts, he went down. Zallen, you're next. Continuing my contractually obligated joke that I go to the fridge's outskirts normally without cheats, I'm ready to take on Zallen. Wow, that was quick. Okay, let's look at an actual attempt. Okay, so the damage is great. The DPS is great. The biggest issue is that it's Zallen. When Lud gets down to a little under half, Zallen will jump down and turn the fight into a 1v2, which is so fun. It turns the fight from a coordinated and telegraphed fight to a fest where getting an attack in seems harder than landing a plane. Lud alone is simple, and Zallen alone is simple. They even have 3,000 health less than Ava, but it's the 1v2 that causes this fight to be hard. But in all honesty, they weren't that bad. It was certainly annoying, but with good DPS, it isn't an issue. My problems stem from having no DPS in my spear run. Once you kill Lud and get Zallen down to low health, he goes into an enraged state, getting health regen and more damage for 30 seconds. I still attack in this phase as I want to nullify the health regen as much as possible, and I'm dying in one shot most of the time anyway, so there wasn't much difference. As long as the fight isn't a 1v2 and you take what I explained at the Ava fight, you can win the 1v1s. Just don't stress when you get to blood, and be patient, and you'll take them down. With that, Ivory King is done. If you know me, Shulva is always a victory lap for me. I've gotten really good at the 2 bosses, and it's just overall my favorite DLC. While trying to get to the second bonfire, I jumped a bit too far, and after a myriad of mistakes, we get to the second bonfire. I call upon the Great Green Dragon to blow up the bridge for us. Most areas in Shulva can be run through, but this first room is a waiting game, dodging the 2 poison Shulva Knights and a Hexer. First time around, I'm able to turn it twice before eating a Hex to the face. Second time around, I make it through, and also pick up Flynn's ring nearby. Continuing on, we can hit this button and kill the Hexer on the bridge. Down below in the room, the button to open up, we can pick up the Dragonstone for later. In the coffin room, we can grab the Eternal Sanctum key as well. Running past Thomas and the Tooth Dinos, we can grab the third bonfire to play it safe when running across the water to use the Dragonstone, and lift up the staircase. In the Eternal Sanctum, all we need to do is go downward and open this wall for the 4th bonfire before Alana. Speaking of which, Alana is like Raim. The fight starts off with her opening animation, allowing a few free hits in right off the bat. For me, I find Alana to be the easiest DLC boss as she has super obvious telegraph moves and it's very slow. Her main strategy comes from summons, which she can only have 1 out at a time. With a bit of luck like mine, you can get the skeletons and they're pretty easy to dodge and kite around. You could always kill all but one, and Alana still won't summon anyone else. Continuing to dodge her slow attacks and hiding the skeletons around the arena, Alana goes down first try. Sin, the Slumbering Dragon, is by far my favorite dragon fight in the Souls games, so it's safe to say I have him down by now. Right off the bat, Sin will always charge forward, punishing you for going for early damage when the fight begins. I tend to stand by Sin's hind legs, as this can bail out the standing poison breath, which allows us to hit the tail. The poison fireballs can be dodged easily by running or a well-timed roll, and by keeping up the assault, Sin also goes down first try. With the sunken key from earlier, we can gain access to the final area of Shulva, but more importantly, get the lightning clutch ring, which boosts our lightning resin damage. Last boss of this list for Shulva is the gank squad, and there's not a lot to talk about, as it's mainly just running around, getting one hit in, and repeating until it was a one-on-one. With Shulva down, all we need to do is the optional bosses in Aldia, and we can put this run down for good. First up was the rat squad, down the Grave of Saints. Just fall partially down the hole in Medulla, then go down 2 hallways. All you need to do for this fight is kill Rat till the Mohawk Rat shows up, and then focus on him. Next is the big rat dog in the Doors of Pharos, and I hate this boss so much. Not only do the small dogs give you toxic, the big dog would keep spamming the same charge, and that just pisses me off. But after guzzling enough Estus, it goes down. Executioner's Chariot isn't any different in this run. Kill the 2 necromancers, wait for the skeletons to die, then strafe around and hit the horse. I had to do the Dragon's Lair on New Game Plus due to my bonfire aesthetic from earlier, and that means getting to the dragon and killing it on New Game Plus as well. Just by rushing there and Pine Resin was enough to quickly kill it and get to the boss, and yeah, New Game Plus didn't change much. With that, all that's left is Aldia. I want to thank everyone for watching to the end, like always. I had a lot of fun making this video. It was fun to play it. It was fun to edit it together, pick out music and whatnot. I just had a really good time, working on it. I got really motivated to finish it. So I'm pretty happy with it, and I hope it does really well. The last Dark Souls 2 video didn't do too well compared to some of my other stuff, so I'm kind of hoping this one will do really good, and hopefully it will overtake the absolute trash that the Smelter only one is. I hate that video so much. It's so flawed. I have a few things I'm going to do. I have no footage anymore. No completed footage, I should say. So I have to get some of that soon for the next challenge run, or just next video in general. But I'm not, this isn't official or anything, but I'm thinking about taking a break in July for 2 weeks, because that is when Art Fight starts, and I like to participate in Art Fight every year, and this will be my 3rd year doing it, so I want to be able to focus a lot of my time on Art Fight instead of making videos. Not to say that there's not going to be anything for July, maybe just for 2 weeks while I do a little bit of Art Fight, but I think I want to do that, so I might take a 2-week break, which that means there'll probably be no videos for 3 weeks, but that's not set in stone yet. I want to do another Dark Souls 1 video soon, because I have 2 Dark Souls 3 challenge runs working in the works, so I'd like to do another Dark Souls 1 video, especially with the remastered mod. I've seen that. I haven't really looked at it too much, because I kind of want to save it for myself. Because Dark Souls 1 is my favorite game of all time, but there's not a lot of challenge runs I can do with that game, unlike Dark Souls 1, 3, or 2 and 3, just because a lot of the challenge runs come from, weapon restrictions. It's like I can only do minimum stat, like 1 or 2 times in that game before it gets kind of, old and whatnot. Maybe I'll think of something like the Spear Backstep run, but I also kind of just want to do it as a way to show off the mod too. Honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll have to look at some stuff. But, yeah. I'm not going to keep rambling for too long. Thank you for watching. Thank you for everything. And I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.